the interaction with the backgrounds. We really wanted the backgrounds to play a role in the fight. So we're letting players can actually be involved with the various objects that are scattered around the background, and they also, with the two different classes of characters, they use them in different ways. You know, Superman here fighting Nightwing is a really good example of just the two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum of characters, where they have completely different fighting styles, and they also have, you know, different classes of characters, so they use the objects, the background objects, differently too.
So Nightwing, a guy that you guys just announced recently, how does he compare to a guy like Superman? You know, perhaps the most iconic character in the DC universe.
Superman, like you see here, he's kind of like the big, you know, power character. Nightwing he has two fighting styles. One with his collie sticks, he can actually combine them together to form like a staff, and all of a sudden he has a whole new set of fighting moves that he can do. And then he also has a number of like projectile attacks, like you can see here. He's got these wingdings that he can throw. He's got this great axe kick, and he's also got this flashbang. So he's got a number of special moves, but he can also switch between the two fighting styles. That's what really kind of that's part of his identity from the game there. Superman again is just the big power character, and he's got the things you'd expect, the heat vision and all that, the dive move. But you know, coming up here, you're going to see a good example of this car that's located on the left here is a really good example of how the background objects are used differently with the different characters.
Okay.
Again, Nightwing, the action's going to go over here on the left, and we're going to see, okay, well, what can he do with this car? His big thing is he can kind of escape a corner. When you're in a fighting game, you can escape a corner by just kind of jumping off of the actual car, and then you get to the other side and you attack. You know, Superman, the big power character, he's the guy who kind of like a lot more direct approach, just picks up the car and slams the guy on it right there. So it's
very different uses for that car.
Exactly. Both useful, but very different
Superman may be paying slightly higher insurance premiums on his car than Nightwing.
That's right. And in a similar way, you notice that hovering car that's flying over them there. Nightwing can jump up and he can actually kind of launch himself off of the car, kind of creating a special move that's only available there. Superman, again, the big power character, he jumps up and just throws the car at him, you know, and it's kind of gives you an idea of that kind of scope of it. The other thing is how big our arenas are. You know, some of the arenas are multiple city blocks long. We're going to see Superman knock Nightwing into the roof arena, which is about 2 blocks away.
We've got a question here from Twitter. Brock Willard is wondering about characters who are sort of crossover characters between power and gadgets. Do you have any of those?
What do you mean by crossover?
They're like characters who, like a Superman character who's, you know, uses plenty of powers, and then another character like Batman who uses plenty of gadgets. Are there guys who, you know? Yeah,
they're probably varying degrees of power and gadget characters. You know, Cyborg is kind of like a semi-power, semi-gadget character. He's probably more power though, but you know, it's a lot more of a. We really want each character to fall on one side, and maybe some are like Batman's the ultimate gadget character, probably more gadgets than anybody in the game. Another big thing about these characters is their super moves. You know, Nightwing, you can save up all your energy and kind of unleash these crazy attacks that Nightwing does.
So, A7 Mad is wondering about the story and how it relates to some of the DC comics. Like, what are you guys doing canonically? How does this fit in with the DC universe?
Well, you know, we're really trying to kind of carve our own niche into the DC story. You know, these characters have been represented in so many different formats. You know, obviously the comic books, where they originally came from, animated series, TV shows, movies, and video games. And, you know, just like kind of Arkham City carved its own niche, we're really trying to identify kind of NetherRealm's version of these characters. So our characters were designed by our characters in conjunction with DC. Our story guys wrote the story and, you know, kind of devised an explanation for why would Superman not just beat everybody? And why would Superman want to even fight Batman? So it all makes sense. You know, there's a really great elaborate story that's told that kind of gives you an idea of, explains all the questions that come up.
Right. Now, what do you suppose is, like, for those die-hard Mortal Kombat players who've just spent years and years playing Mortal Kombat, what do you think for them is going to be the biggest surprise, the biggest thing that they need to readjust themselves to the second they pick up a controller and start playing Injustice?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you know, our blocking scheme is different.
Right.
It's a little bit more towards some of the other fighting games, which is, you know, the Tekkens and the Street Fighters where you hold back to block. But, you know, we do have the kind of impact with our hits that is a little bit more synonymous with Mortal Kombat. Our visuals are a lot more, you know, we're going for the more photorealistic look.
Right.
And you notice Flash and Cyborg here are fighting. It's in the Batcave. It's a little bit more of a serious thing, which is, I think I associate that with Mark of the NetherRealm art style and style of the game. So it has little glimpses of it, but this game really is its own, has its own identity. It's not Mortal Kombat skinned with DC characters. It's its own, you know, hopefully new series of games.
Right. So, you know, as, you know, with the announcement of new characters over there on the show floor the other night, what would you say is the single most requested character for Injustice, for, you know, for guys that you haven't announced already?
You know, before we announced Nightwing, I would get a lot of feedback from Twitter users, and Nightwing was one of the most requested, which really surprised me. You know, I didn't realize how many Nightwing fans there were out there. But I think up there, I would see, I don't know if there's any one that would really stand out, but certainly Aquaman, to some people's surprise, is really up there.
I'll say this now, my Twitter feed is getting flooded with questions about Aquaman.
Yeah. We're certainly not ready to announce any new characters. If we were to do an Aquaman, I think we would have like a personal goal of, we're going to make the coolest Aquaman that's ever existed.
Of course.
You know, yeah, so. You know, it's here, actually, you actually can control the rockets that are on the Batmobile by pressing that big red button.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, so that's part of the interaction of the background. You know, so Flash is kind of backed up here. He hits that red button. It shoots rockets and it hits Cyborg. But Cyborg can actually escape it and knock Flash into another arena that's located down below with its all new set of interactive objects and whatnot. So they're there.
All right. Well, Ed, you know, it's always a pleasure having you here on our live shows during our event coverage, and obviously we could have you sitting here showing us some Injustice all day long. Yeah. But you're a busy man.
Yeah, well, you know, we appreciate you letting us show the game and give you an idea of how it's going to play and what the special features in the game are.
All right, excellent. Now, can you go ahead and just remind everybody out there when Injustice is going to be out on store shelves?
Yeah, you know what? At the moment, I'm embarrassed to say that the only thing we can give you is 2013. And I'm sure over the next few months... It's a concrete number. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure over the next few months we'll be giving you more specifics. But it's going to come out in 2013 for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo Wii U.
All right, excellent. Ed, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, folks, so that was Injustice, Gods Among Us. We're going to head over to our live cam for a bit, but we'll be back in not too long with some Sorry, I'm just bungling this all day today.